and welcome. I'm Tang Bo in Wuhan. Today, 41 medical teams with over 3,600 medical workers are going to leave the city as the epidemic have been largely kept under control. And with the efforts made by the medical workers. And right now I am at the Dongxihu temporary hospital, which has suspended its operation for quite a long time. And right now here, governmental officials from the Wuhan municipal government and also officials from the command center of the epidemic control and prevention are going to attend a goodbye ceremony to meet with some of the team members of the 41 medical teams. And also China's Vice Premier Sun Chunlan is going to participate as well. Let's take a closer look. Now, the 41 medical teams offered services at 14 temporary hospitals and 7 designated hospitals during their stay in Wuhan, and they are part of 360 medical teams with over 42,000 medical workers from around the country who have come to Hubei Province to help with the combat against the coronavirus epidemic outbreak. Now, as you can see right now, some of the members of the medical teams, the 41 medical teams, have already here. They are waiting for the government officials to participate in this ceremony. And the Vice Premier Sun Chunlan has already arrived. And she's right now inspecting the medical teams. And as you can see, that the medical team members are chanting in unison about their mottos, saying that stay strong Wuhan, stay strong China. Now the security personnel has already intensified the protection measures. And now one of the governmental officials from the command center of the epidemic prevention and control delivering a very short speech. Later on, some of the representatives and the team leaders of those 41 medical teams are going to deliver short speeches as well to report to the Vice Premier. Now the government official says that the works of the medical team evacuation started on the 17th of March, organized by the National Health Commission, together with the public security bureaus in Wuhan, and of course the municipal government of Wuhan. Now, the Vice Premier Sun Chunlan, on behalf of the central government and the provincial government of Hubei Province, are here to meet all the team members of the 41 medical teams to express her gratitude and hope that they can return home safely. Now, the first representative to deliver speeches from the medical teams from Liaoning Province in northeast China.
尊敬的首长，我是中国医科大学附属第一医院崇威，代表辽宁国家紧急医学救援队向首长与各位领导汇报工作。我们辽宁国家紧急医学救援队。
Now we know that all 14 makeshift hospitals have suspended their services, and they have treated over 12,000 patients, with the longest running for 35 days. And according to Zhai Xiaohui, Deputy Director of the Hospital Management of the National Health Commission, nearly 10,000 hospital beds have been emptied out at designated hospitals. So from now on, all new cases of the COVID-19 infection will be transferred to designated hospitals. And if they cannot handle those new cases, then some of the temporary hospitals will be reopened to handle the problem. So right now, the rest of the supporting medics are either standing by or treating patients under critical conditions. Now, the temporary hospitals have played a very important role in the combat against the virus. They receive and treat mild cases, saving more medical resources to medium and severe cases, so that the entire medical Wuhan won't get overwhelmed. And once it got overwhelmed, medics would have to decide who to rescue and who they have to abandon. But luckily, that in Wuhan, that didn't happen in China, and that thanks a lot to the establishment of the temporary hospitals. Now the first representatives have finished his speech, and now the second one to deliver is from Jiangxi's medical team. He's from Eastern China's Jiangsu Province. This team is the very first group of the medical teams dispatched to Wuhan. He said that the history of the temporary hospitals are going to be written in the history of China, relating to the combat against the epidemic outbreak. Determination to unite as one that has made them able to handle all the difficulties when working in Wuhan. Now, as the situation in Wuhan improves, many designated hospitals have started to close their isolation wards, and patients are being transferred to other hospitals. And I talked to some nurses from the neighboring Hunan province who are still working at one of the remaining 10 designated hospitals in Wuhan. They told me that it was not going to be easy for them work-wise later on, as more and more patients with severe symptoms will be sent to them. But still, they are confident that they can handle the new arriving patients, as they are now quite familiar with the isolation wards. Patient management has been well organized, and it's much better than the time when they first arrived, that they had to get ready in less than 24 hours. Now, the third representative to speak is from the medical teams of Guangdong Province.
家和广东省省政府的稳定部署，快速组建、快速出发、快速进入。
He said that the medical team was founded in a very short period of time, in a very short notice as well. But they still made it. There are 61 medical workers. They have treated more than 400 hospital beds in 2 temporary hospitals in Wuhan. And they take over the temporary hospital as a whole package. They also renovated the working environment in the temporary hospital. And their own drivers worked as the ambulance drivers, the drivers for local ambulances. They also shared their experiences gained in Guangdong Province to help with the combat here for the local hospitals and local medics. They also worked on rebuilding the patient's confidence for their recovery, because the psychological problems is also very important during the entire treatment of the infected patients, especially those with mild cases, because they got the chance to recover soon. He also thanked the affection from the municipal government, the provincial government of Hubei, and also support from central government and the command center of the epidemic control and prevention. The last but not least is the representative from medical teams from Shanghai. Well, he said that it is their honor to invest efforts to help local medics to combat the epidemic. It is their honor to work with all local medics and other supporting medics from around the country. They arrived in Wuhan on February the 3rd, and then they started to work the next day. As I just mentioned, that most of the medical workers started to work within like 24 hours upon their arrival in Wuhan. And many of the young nurses and young medics didn't know what to expect on the front line, but luckily they adapted very fast. And another thing to notice that no matter where they are from, they are able to communicate with the patients using a very simple medium. And I noticed in a isolation ward that some of the ICU nurses prepared a paper board for the patients who either have speaking difficulties or speak with very strong accent. And there are lots of paintings on it, like cups, food, and etc. So by pointing at these pictures, the patients are able to express how they feel and what they want. For example, by pointing at the cups, meaning that they want to have some water, and by pointing at bread or noodles, meaning that they want to have something to eat and to go to the bathroom or go to adjust the hospital bed's position, and some by pointing at a very sad face, meaning that the patient is feeling very uncomfortable. So this is a very, very thoughtful way of treating the patients. Now he has concluded his speech. Now, one of the governmental officials from the Wuhan municipal government, and he is pretty much the general secretary of the CPC party committee of Wuhan, and he's not delivering a speech. Now the situation in Hubei Province, especially in Wuhan, has been tremendously improved. But still, we have to pay extra attention on those imported cases from outside China. And we know that the situation in Italy is not very promising, but some of the medics from China have already arrived in the country to help them with their combat against the COVID-19 epidemic. There are indeed a lot of experience to share with the rest of the world. For example, that the COVID-19 damages not only the lungs but many other organs as well. Many patients with severe infection suffer from heart, renal function, or circulatory system failure. And those are the major causes of death in the new virus cases, not only the infection in lungs. But you need to know that treating the critically ill is full of contradictions. For example, the use of breathing machines, ventilators, sedatives, and analgesics is for reducing patients' blood pressure and letting them accept the treatment without much pain. But the drugs that I just mentioned can also inhibit the blood circulation and bring down blood oxygen levels. And also analgesics can weaken stomach functions as well. So we need to balance when treating the critically ill, and that is not easy. As you can see that most of the medical team members were born in the 1980s or the 1990s. They are young, but also very energetic, but you can also find a very strong sense of responsibility in them. I have stayed in Wuhan for almost 2 months, and I went to report on them many times, and that's something really impresses me, is their sense of responsibility despite their young age. And not each one of them have the working experience in the intensive care unit. So usually those ICU doctors and nurses would have to give other non-ICU medics guidance and training sessions after their works, usually at their hotels. There are also many new discoveries, medical discoveries. As we follow the doctors making their rounds, we always see that some patients' fingertips and toes turn or even black. And this symptom with black fingertips is caused by severe blood clotting, which can happen as a result of various diseases. Now, the General Secretary of the Wuhan CPC Committee hope that all the team members can safely. Now, the General Secretary of the CPC Committee of Hubei Province is going to deliver a speech. Let's continue with the new discoveries. Yes, that's a condition called disseminated intravascular coagulation, or DIC. It's commonly seen in patients who are very gravely ill, but for the first time, doctors from the Peking Union Medical College Hospital have found that it has a direct link with the new virus. So some turned purple, with the worst cases turned black. The medical team concluded that COVID-19 can damage the blood circulation system and cause clotting. And they've turned to blood specialists at the Beijing headquarters and have started to take anti-blood clotting precautions for their patients. Now, the General Secretary of the Hubei Province CPC Party Committee said that lots of the medical workers sacrificed the time staying with their families, with their loved ones, to come over here. And he quotes President Xi Jinping that they are the cutest people. They are the cutest angels in white. He said that the supporting medical teams, together with the local medics, have gained the periodic victory against the epidemic.
湖北永远铭记大家，永远感恩党。
He said that the Hubei province will remember all these efforts, all the offered by the medical teams from around the country. He said that Hubei province is their hometown as well, and they will never forget the contribution of the medical teams.
在疫情过后，湖北人民非常欢迎你们和你们的家人到你们曾经战斗过的地方再来看一看。
And he hoped that the medical team members, together with their families, can revisit the city of Wuhan to take a look at the place that they used to work and fight against the outbreak. And he hopes that all of them can return home safely.
健康，阖家幸福，万事如意。谢谢大家。
现在还没完全定，估计最快也要6年之内。
前中央指导组组长、国务院副总理孙春兰同志。
Now Vice Premier Sun Chunlan is going to deliver her speech.
现在好像还没人回去。
同志们，新冠肺炎疫情发生以来，全国广大医务工作者不忘初心，牢记使命，积极响应。
He said that all supporting medical teams, as well as the local hospitals and medics, have been working very hard, stick to their missions,
保卫战、武汉保卫战做出了重要贡献。习近平总书记非常关心广大的医务工作者，多次作出重要指示，强调。 你们是最大的功臣，党和人民。
and she said that President Xi Jinping regards all the medical workers here in Hubei Province as being working as a key role in the battle against the virus. He said that the medical team members have been very responsible, working in those temporary hospitals and designated hospitals, and put professional medical skills to full use. Each medical teams have their own working highlights. For example, setting up the guidelines on sites, have been working very effectively in treating patients. She's now expressing her gratitude and the affection and concern from President Xi Jinping and the central government. Their gratitude to all medical teams. Now all you guys have successfully have the mission accomplished. Thank you very much. Now she's sending her regards and gratitude to the family members of those medics. Without their support, she said that those medical workers are unable to work here. She's also sending gratitude to their family members and loved ones. Now, despite the epidemic control improvement, many experts say sporadic and imported cases will persist for a period of time. Some experts said that the country will continue to see a low level of newly confirmed cases, including imported infections. Vice Premier hopes that all medics will be able to continue to play their key role in ensuring the public health of all people. She hopes that everyone can have a safe return home. The people of Hubei Province, people of Wuhan City, and all people in China send their gratitude to the medics. Thank you very much. Now the hoster announces the evacuation works of the supporting medical teams kicks off. Still, a large number of supporting medics will continue to stay in Wuhan to treat severe cases until the epidemic ends. Now, Vice Premier is talking to some of the team members before she leaves. And the Vice Premier is sending her gratitude to all journalists. So far, 360 medical teams with over 42,000 medical workers have come to Hubei Province to help the local hospitals and medics in the combat against the coronavirus epidemic outbreak. And their efforts have paid off, as we have seen that the epidemic has been largely kept under control in the province, which has seen a single-digit growth of the new cases. Now, as the situation has largely improved, more medics are expected to leave in the following days, and we will keep you updated. And so this is it for today's live coverage on the goodbye ceremony. Stay tuned, and bye for now.